Hello, ladies and gentlemen over there. Thank you once more for sparing time for this beautiful show, the Benjamin Zulu Show. Now, today we are going to talk about something that most of us actually tend to ignore. Why? Because the moment we start dating, it is so easy for us to get cozy. And at times, we forget how far is too far. You see, how far should we go in terms of interacting with those we are dating? So today, Benjamin is going to highlight to you why it is wrong to go out, okay, on a holiday with the person you're dating. Is there something wrong with that? Some of us might think, after all, we are dating. Okay? Hey, Benjamin.
Hello. And you know, we brought that discussion and a lot of people got insight that they did not see what it all means. But others were saying, oh, you only live once. Live for today. Enjoy yourself. What if you preserve yourself and the person you marry finally does not like holidays? Do all you want. And we must start by laying this preamble that we are advising those who care, those who care about God's guidance for their life, those who still revere, those who have not dethroned God and enthroned themselves. When you hear people questioning kings, it's because they are their own king. In Isaiah 30, it says, woe to the obstinate children who carry out plans, but not of my plans. Those who form alliances, but not of my spirit, to heap sin upon sin. When you hear people dismissing the fundamentals of sexual purity and integrity and character and being one and true to yourself and obeying seasons, because that's what this is all about. When you hear people dismissing and reacting with anger, it tells you they have taken life to be their own and they are living the way they say, take one day at a time, enjoy yourself. It's all about you. This advice will not make sense if you're living for yourself. There are two strands. There are two reasons, two categories of reasons why you should not go for vacations, holidays that you're spending days out there with the person you're dating and you're not yet married. And the first reason concerns sexual purity. When you go out alone, the sexual temptation will be very high. I remind you of 3 factors that escalate sexual chemistry when you're with a person you like, you love. One is the flying effect. When you're flying together, and we're not saying these things cannot be done. I'm just saying what our emotions do. When you fly with a person, even when the chemistry was small, it can be accelerated by being up there in the clouds, just the two of you. Even if you just sit in the same seat, or people have fallen in love by simply being up there, interacting up there, out of experience and the psychology of human emotions. One way to understand, to enhance your connection, is to fly with the one you love. And one way to avoid temptations is by not flying with the person you're trying to resist. Hey, are we together? Just understand the principle and you know when to apply it and when not to apply it, when not to activate it. The other one is the darkness effect. When you're in the dark, in a car, in the dark somewhere, anywhere at night, the night is associated with the heightened emotions. Hey, in ancient times, when you read biblical times, the bridegroom delayed and came at night. Remember the 10 virgins were waiting. 5 they were virgins, but 5 were wise, others were foolish virgins. You can be a virgin,
but foolish.
And the foolishness and wisdom here, imagine it came by preparing for the unexpected. They were prepared for the groom to come during day. But then he himself ran late. And instead of him being blamed that he ran late, it is for them not anticipating him running late that they were called wicked. It was a picture to say many people are living those kind of split lives that they're not prepared for darkness. Okay, I mentioned groom and darkness to say, even when you go for honeymoon, watching stars and the moon, and it is very emotionally lifting. Darkness, some people have said that they find the night to be more colorful and full of life than day. Because things are quiet and intense, and senses are heightened, and people are more vulnerable. Somebody said they prefer to talk to a person at 3 a.m. when they're not in suit, when they're not in a professional corporate look. They say that If you have conversation with people at night, you notice another vulnerability. Of course, it's not always just discussing that. Sometimes you want to connect deeper without all this properness going on. Darkness has a very strong emotional, sexual temptation. You go out there with a person. You might be flying or you may be there at night. It will be very difficult to maintain your sobriety. That's why people say you're going to spend in the same house, but you will not have sex. Sleep on the chair. The other one happen. Sleep in the bed. Some guys tried that and a miracle happened. They said they woke up in the bed, both of them. They said they did not know how it happened, but darkness has the effect of heightening. The other thing is distance. When you're far away, the two of you, far from every place you knew, the bonding is very strong. That's the principle we're applying when you go away to bond. Living your day-to-day routine places gives you more open and childlike and playful and excited. And there's a lot of bonding when you're away from your usual places of operation. Holiday activates all those things. The flying effect, even if you're not flying, think of the other two, darkness and distance. All right? Now, if you're preserving sex until marriage, you will question, you will see this as a danger already. Some temptations you don't need to pray yourself out of, you need to keep yourself out of. And Paul said you should run away, running, flee. And sometimes you flee until you leave some jackets, the way Joseph left a jacket. You flee until you leave some things that people may want to accuse you or all that. So the first principle of why a holiday with your lover is very dangerous, is to increase sexual temptation. If you're not trying to keep sex until marriage, I'll tell you about principle number 2. The principle number 2 primarily includes, is merely talking about your character, basically your character. Basically who you are and how what sex means to you, and what your reputation will become to be in the long run. If you are doing everything with a girl you're calling your girlfriend, having sex, going for holidays, you are seen in holiday places, you are seen in vacation places, you are seen in hotels, you are seen in holidays and the coast, and then you break up with that one, you come another one, you do that. When you finally marry the one, how will she feel special if you have given yourself fully to other people who you did not even marry? You as a man, how would you say you are my queen? You have had so many queens. How special am I? I want you to realize the following. Preserving yourself and behaving yourself and composing yourself until the right time basically concerns knowing that the marriage bed is supposed to be pure, undefiled, unexposed, and to know that it is for my own preservation of the specialness of my wife, of the woman who finally married, to bring her something I have preserved. In the West, many people have kicked out God's standards, and when you try to tell them that you follow God's standards, they call you then unreal or perfectionistic, and expect that we're in the last days. And many will be carried away by the patterns of the world. But Brahman, let me tell you, it will help you immensely. Now, I'm not talking about even just the spiritual and the perspective. I'm talking about your character and the future, what it will do for you. You can miss out on the woman of your dreams, on the woman of your soul, because you misbehaved with others again before. She can see you have no character. How can she know that you will stop doing this once you start being with her? And Brahman, let's not forget that sleeping with the person you're not married to is fornication, even if she's your girlfriend. Let us go to the basics. If you're not married, having sex is not somehow because we have something going on. God is not about to revise his principles to entertain our compromise. So I was telling you about your reputation. The woman who will finally come to be your woman will have preserved herself and worked her best to keep for the right man. You arrive here, having done those things, you can say you're being judged, but these are just your choices. You see how people are being defensive using the word judged? Yeah. When you examine your choices, and he said you have been weighed on the scales, there's a place to weigh. Does this measure up what I'm looking for? People can call it judging or anything, but your decisions will be weighed. I will evaluate you according to the paths you have chosen and who you have become and how I will have signed up with. What kind of a deal am I getting to? When you weigh jackets and pick one and choose the other, are you being judgmental? You're being selective with the standards you want.
Yeah.
The woman who you will meet will be selective with the standards she wants. Don't think you can block people from evaluating your behavior by just saying, don't judge me. Your choices will be evaluated. I'm hearing that word being thrown around here. When you probably receive questions that are so annoying. Even try to answer it, I feel like exploding. This person has been cheating, it's been 10 years, over and over. Why are you telling me? You've sat on it for years. I simply tell her, those are your choices. It's a life you are choosing. Please, I'm not interested. What are you asking? What are you asking? I'm financially handicapped. Thank you. You are mentally handicapped, actually. Not financially. Deal with your handicap. This is elective handicap, not natural. Imagine. So Brahma has some choices you choose and they will bring their consequences. People keep emphasizing their freedom before trouble comes. Yeah. When trouble comes, they start acting like they did not bring it with their decisions. So there are two reasons here we are saying this. You want to date people with no strings attached. You want to learn people like an interview, not a small marriage. Because these people are saying, don't look for marriage, look for happiness. Me, I date for happiness. If the happiness leads to marriage, it's okay. So they're saying they'll do everything with this person just because they're dating. And then they're hoping marriage will come along. That's not how you get married. How many people will you end up giving your whole body to, giving your heart to? And how many people can you attach and detach from? Your emotions are not created like that, Brahma. That's why many people have hardened, given up on love. Yeah. They date carelessly, get involved emotionally, sexually, financially. They go all in, and there is no. It's like they're getting small marriages or small emotional entanglements and intimacy. How many can you live and come into like that? Brahma, you cannot now come around with your own method and say, I don't care. Those who talk like that, I always know it's because of inexperience. Mm-hmm. They've not been long around enough to be broken-hearted twice. In case you want to be casual, I'll give you the freedom. And also warn you of the consequences. Yeah. They asked of the king, they said they're tired of God being their king. Yeah. They wanted a physical king. God gave them the freedom together with warning. What will follow. And I'll give you the freedom to tell you that go then, be casual with sex and do holidays with whoever you meet and say now you're in a relationship, keep doing that. And by the time you do the third person, you'll be tired and shattered into pieces. Eventually you'll end up with no one. Eventually you'll end up tired and worn out and crumbled. Eventually you'll be dealing with a drip. The emotions have dried up. You become so pained. So it becomes so painful to trust and open up. And the flow and the release, you cringe and hold back and you remain mechanically in relationships. You mishandled what was sacred. You can't make it a sport when it was meant to be sacred. You mishandle it, eventually you get tired. So I've given you two basics, I want to give you two more. The first basis under which you can't go for a holiday with the person you are dating is that it will bring heightened sexual temptation. It will increase the urge to do it. The second basis under which you can't do it because of your character and your reputation. You can miss out on the man who was supposed to marry you when he hears that you had given all of you to another. Yeah. And now are they answering, don't judge me according to what I did with my ex. I don't judge you according to what I did. This is not judging, I'm evaluating your ways to see whether this is what I'm looking for. The same way we choose things by evaluating their traits. I'll evaluate your choices and your moves. I know whether I want to get involved with this. Brahmana don't bring pity to relationships. If you find that I have 3 children, decide whether you want to deal with 3 children. If you reject me, I can say, you judge me because I have children. Where did the children come from? You chose. You chose. You chose. And that lady says she doesn't want to deal with that kind of man. She will not even tell you, she'll just disappear. Yeah. When you evaluate commodities in the market, that's not judgment, that's selection. We do selection in the dating market as well. Don't be tripped by people telling you you're being judgmental. No. Brahma, the third reason is how much time it will take to arrange holidays and get so long with one person before you get to know who they are. This is I want you to understand this. Dating, choosing, selecting, examining is supposed to move with speed. If you stay one place too long, you get rooted. Your emotions don't warn you before they take a root down. You only come to realize how deeply roots have gone when you try to wake up and leave. They say those who take alcohol, there's some beer or wine that can make you drunk quietly. You think you're okay. The last time you checked, you were okay. You continue taking. Then you have a need to wake up and go to the washroom. Then you realize you can't walk. And last time you checked, you were okay. Some emotional entanglements are like that. They happen quietly and without your attention, without you knowing it. The third reason is when you start planning holidays and being there, it means you're dating for months and years. And you're moving too slowly, you don't have eternity. Brahma, you might have to peruse among 10 women, 10 quality women. I'm not talking about these other onlookers. I'm discussing about qualifying candidates, the ones who can fit the description, and they have sent the application. People who attend interviews always have the potential to qualify. Those who don't have interviews don't have the potential. We don't invite them for interview to avoid time, wastage of time. Out together. You also follow the same criteria. You check fundamentals. If the fundamentals are off, no point meeting. So I'm talking about the ladies whose fundamentals are on. All right? Age group, level, job, self-drive, beauty. They fit in the category you're looking. Now, you meet to examine closer. You talk for longer to take a closer look. Thought might be 10 people. If you are dating all of them, well, each for 2 years, how many years are those? No, let's be practical here. Now, sure, let's imagine you are emotionally capable. I'm assuming all the other fundamentals I gave you. Now, let's imagine you're actually able to attach and detach 10 times. And it is taking an average of 2 years. How many years are you searching?
A whooping 20 years.
You see it. By the time you're planning holidays, you're running this, a year is going and another one. So dating that involves holidays means it's a prolonged dating, and it will waste your time with people who should not have pitched camp in your life and wasted your time. Let me remind you that your years of productivity are few. During the time of searching, your mind is into that project. Let me go to the fourth and final problem of this kind of dating. And today I will avoid the obvious. I'm talking about the unseen. The obvious things are like a baby, abortions. There are very many in that kind of dating. Mm-hmm. Even those who are careful to play their games, they can't play it carefully every day. Yeah. At some point they get caught. I'll avoid that because that one is you're used to it. Mm-hmm. Let me go to what is underneath. Brahma, when you date with the holidays that you date with, there's always money involved. There's always expenditure involved. There's always relatives and the friends get to know about it. The people who see you going together, you become associated as an item that you're out of town with your girlfriend. People assume you already settled, that's your woman. You're just going about it another way. Maybe you're first going on the holidays, later going to the home. In the past, people have been marrying using methods. One method has always been pretending like we start life, we'll think about it later, let's start living together, we'll talk about it this way. People have been going at it in a weird way. And sometimes we assume that's what you're doing when you see you going around. But Brahma, what will happen? The fourth problem is emotional fatigue and social embarrassment of introducing different people to the same relatives, to the same friends. You will get emotionally fatigued and you lack the courage to tell them now it's not that one, it's this one. That's why when Brahma, you have stayed with a woman for long, you start feeling a compulsion, as if it's a must, I make this one work. Mm-hmm. How will I tell my mother again? A third girl and a fourth one. I'm the one looking confused now. Why am I introducing them if I've not done enough homework? And you're not saying just having introduced a person means you must marry them. Mm-hmm. It means you're learning. And by the time you introduced the first one, you made a mistake. You want to be sure. By the time you introduce this second one, because by the time they are third or fourth, they are all bad. But why are you not seeing their badness in time? It's because when you meet, you're not trying to check them versus what you're looking for. The fourth reason is fatigue. It will bring you emotional. You run out of energy. To do what? To tell your friends, now it's this one. To tell your family, now it's this one. To be seen with this one. What will happen when eventually you get married and you appear somewhere and a lady recognizes you? that you had booked the same hotel with another woman. And because before she notices you are with another, she said, "Oh, you have come back." How will you explain yourself?
Yeah.
How will you explain yourself to those people who mentioned Beatrice, maybe Maggie, that other girlfriend, that other fiance, and now, lo and behold, it's Pamela. What will you explain when Lillian is here that they're not supposed to be asking for Fiona? There's a fatigue that is quiet but very real. Mm-hmm. Let me remind you, Brahma, that your social circles are very small. Yeah. It involves usually your colleagues, either colleagues from school or from work, or some guys who have done the same thing at the same time somewhere. And not all of them, you know each other. Some are just acquainted. You are not into each other's life. So the few friends you picked from college, the few meaningful friends you picked from high school, the few. I want to warn you so that you don't squander what is so small. Your social capital is a limited resource. You see human beings all over the world, but not all have the ability. You may not connect to all of them. You may not have the time. You may not have similar interests. You may not spend enough time together. There are some people your social capital is limited. It comes from colleagues, people, places you've been to, primary school, secondary school. Check back and you realize you've been connected because of that. Places you've worked, people you've met. It could be a total of 5 if you are very socially vibrant. Yeah. Then the others are friends from other places like church, neighborhood, and then you're connected on a friends basis. The others are usually family. That's all your social circle. Mm-hmm. That's why you get mentors and mentees. They usually come from the same category. People you teach, people you learn from. Mm-hmm. You connect around those 3. It's a very narrow. Now, if you pollute your name in that small circle, when will you come to cleanse it? Mm-hmm. When the people whom you respect, they associated with so and so, and they saw you moving around and enjoying holidays, then suddenly it's not that one, it's another one. You lose respect. Eventually, the colleagues who saw you as a very organized person, they realize, how many, what are you doing? But they can tell when you have not gone any far with another person. They saw you once and they never saw you again, that person. They know there was nothing. But they see you, go holiday, again, you come, yeah. Suddenly, another one, they'll come to know. They will actually give you labels. You see that guy that is put together? That guy is very careless with women, very careless with men. That lady, she may look very organized, but I don't know whether this is a 50. Yeah. They're simply evaluating and seeing. People always want to know what they can expect from you, how much advice you can give them, where they can place you in life. Mm-hmm. So we are saying the fourth problem with going for vacations, it means you're so into each other and you get known in your social circle that you are an item. You get to introduce them to people you respect. Before you determine another woman is the one, don't introduce her to the people you respect. Mm-hmm. Introduce her to that friend who you are capable of being cheeky. There's always that friend who knows you are exploring and who can help you laugh at yourself. Are we together? Make sure it's not spreading. Please. When ideas are embryonic, they may be very awkward, but because of your excitement, you can't see the awkwardness. So don't spread it. Mm-hmm. Make sure only that friend who you can laugh at it with. And then, you don't know that, you laugh. You laugh. You remember the journey and you laugh. That's okay. But if you let serious people like your mother get involved, you know, you can introduce a girl to your mother, she will never forget her. They happen to bond with that one, not this one. You bring others, but your mother is still on. From the time you brought Wambui, then later on you're bringing Mikali, now you're bringing... Mom is like, how that, like, the one who came, how is she doing? Please, spare your mother. Spare yourself. That kind of agony. Yeah. Keep the searching private. Keep it finally introduced when you are sure of what you're doing. So, in summary, the reasons are to say, number 1, remember about the principles of sexual purity and preserving sex for marriage to keep you in one piece. Sex is not just an activity. You leave your pieces with people. They know a side of you that if they exposed it. And we said, minimize the people who have the potential to ruin you with one wave of the hand. Avoid people who can post something and bring you down.
Yeah.
Minimize them in the earth. How to do that? Do not undress in secluded rooms with a woman. Whatever the activity it is, avoid it. You give them the ability to ruin you. The second thing is the fact that you have a future. The fact that you wanted to be in one piece. And we said, we were calling it, keep your record unsoiled. You want to come to the end of your searching tenure without embarrassments. Yes.
All right. Benjamin, these are some of the things that actually we sweep under the carpet. And we forget that in as far as we are doing all this, the emotional glue is drying up.
Yes.
And for us to separate, when that time comes when we've discovered that this one is not meant for me, that is when we know how deep it was running.
When the glue is wet, when you are still new to each other and you are very excited about this girl and you realize things are not working, you can pull out. So you're using the glue figuratively to say, before the glue hardens, you can get out.
Yeah.
There's some disappointment that you thought something could grow, but it has not grown, but there's no permanent injury. But if the glue dries up, to separate, you have to tear something. If you stay with the people you like so long, before studying whether this is viable, when you finally need to leave, you have very difficult choices. People keep asking those questions. See them asking now, because now they have overstayed. And to get out, they have to tear something. When the glue is stuck, either stay there or tear something to get away. And your emotions don't think you have to think for them. When you keep a woman in your life, your emotions will attach to her. You keep a woman you like in your life, your emotions will attach to her. I did not have enough time to tell you about memories. Holidays create permanent memories. And when you create permanent memories with a person, you associate very sweet feelings with them. Yeah. And that's why people start talking and they start mentioning the wrong people in the conversation. You're talking to Joyce, but you accidentally say Mary. Because you did so many pleasurable things with Mary, she's stuck in your memory.
Yeah.
Avoid the glue drying on the wrong person by being prompt and not establishing yourself where you are not sure whether you belong. Yes.
And in the business cycle, Benjamin, you'll discover that when people want to strike a serious deal, they do that into or out of their individual territories. They go looking for a very neutral territory so that they can form informed decisions. Okay?
Yes.
Now we are dating. Some might think that is an opportunity where actually I have to study this person out of their own territory, because maybe in their territory, some can pretend too much.
That's right. We need to define the territory. The territory of Bramwell is his house.
Yes.
So to learn Bramwell, you don't need to travel with him to Zanzibar. I get that argument.
Yeah.
And people argue a lot. You don't have to know who they are, remove them from where they are used to. And the territory of Bramwell is probably where he works and where he stays. And maybe his church. Most people are in that triangle.
Yeah.
And as long as it's not his house, it's how any other place is new. Just take him to a place where it's not everybody known. We can always meet in a hotel from here to Mombasa Road. From this side of the car to Mombasa Road, that's enough distance. From here to town, that's enough distance. So you don't need to go holidays for days and weeks under the excuse of we needed a neutral place. That's a very expensive way of interviewing. How many people will you take like that? How much millions have you set aside as a budget for dating? That's not a manageable kind of interview. You need to keep interview economical. And as I told you, you're doing a lot of perusing. You're perusing a lot of candidates and interviewing only those who have a chance to qualify. Yes.
And what we are talking about, Benjamin, is mostly, I've seen it, I use mostly because also men are involved, but mostly women. So they forget that it is a chance for manipulative men to use this as a trap to lure them into a relationship unknowingly.
In fact, you should never agree to travel anywhere with a person that is so far away that may involve spending with a person when there's nothing serious between the two of you. That is dangerous. part of what will happen in your life as you grow is to protect your boundaries and to only talk to people within a safe space. Many people have been airlifted to the US. Come visit 1 month. And there's no relationship yet. There's no commitment yet. But the moment they visited, that's all. It ended up now being an entanglement. People can make sure at that time you have made them pregnant, or they have made you pregnant, or you have stayed so long and they have moved in so quickly to trap you. Many people know they don't deserve you under the right circumstances. But if they can trap you to sign up under shady circumstances, they will have you. Yes.
Exactly. Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. A good teacher will always show you what you ought to do and not tell you what you ought to do. That is exactly what Benjamin has done today. Thank you for watching the Benjamin Zulu Show. Till next time.